Morning, everyone. Saturday, October 25th. Today, I'd just like to share with you, um, first of all, this vision I had of Jesus a couple nights ago. There's a young girl that she has drawn things, and so this is an image that she drew, except that I changed the eyes because when Jesus came to me the other night, it was like I can see why she painted his eyes with green. I know many people have seen him with brown eyes, and many have seen him. Uh, with blue. So I think the thing is that everything is within him. And they've seen his eyes with fire, different people. But for me, this is what I saw. Um, and Jesus' face was so very similar to this. Of course, you can't take the full power of his his loving his loving look upon you. Like you just can't put that into a picture. Um, but he didn't say anything to me, just literally looked at me with this depth of, yeah, care and love. In any event, um, there's a connection that came to me also about Jesus and the Garden of Eden and the tree of life. In the very beginning, the tree of life, like it was Jesus. So Adam and Eve, they chose to go after the fruit of knowledge of good and evil rather than life itself, which is found in Jesus. And we have, and I when I had this revelation, I actually questioned it. So, a brother of mine in Christ spoke to me and gave me a word that God had given him that he was studying about the same day, the same morning I had this vision, and it was so good because it aligned perfectly. And it was John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. And in him was life, and this life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended not. There was a man sent from God, whose name was John. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit cold. Sneezing. And the same came to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, so Jesus was in the world, and the world was made by him. Some people don't understand this, that Jesus actually made the world, because it says everything was made through Jesus in another place. And not without him was nothing made, it says, that is made. So Jesus and the Father are so intricately connected that it is without Jesus, there is nothing, because he was life. He was the Word. He was with God. And it says the Word was God. So there's this like integral connection between him and God that is they're almost indistinguishable when we start to read about it and look into it. You could almost believe they're the same thing, the same entity. But in my experience in spiritual realm, I've seen Jesus like this, and yet I've seen the Father. Um, and not the fullness of the Father, because that's not really at least that's what I have understood, is not something we can experience. We've seen God's eye, like I've mentioned. So, but it is important to know that they are so intricately connected. And it said, like Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Like it's that integral. And it says the Word was made flesh. So here is the Word made flesh was Jesus. We know that, but yet the Word was God, it says. Um, and then it says, and John said, we beheld his glory, the glory as the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So he was still begotten of the Father, it says, right? So this is how, when we read this, actually, if you really do a deep dive, it can be very confusing to say, okay, who is who and what is what? But that's where we need spiritual. The only way to truly discern it is to have spiritual revelation. Um, so that was the vision that I had of Jesus the other night, and that's the revelation that they chose knowledge of good and evil. So we can choose, like the world chooses science sometimes, and I'm a science background, but to choose to say that this explains everything, science explains everything, is to trust in knowledge. And that is the problem. When we trust in it and we choose it over life itself, Jesus is life, and in him is everything, um, including knowledge, including the gifts of understanding, including all of the rest of it. It's also in him. But if we choose anything apart from him, then we have nothing. And that's also scriptural. Um, so then I had two other things to share with you today that are about the harvest, and the harvest that involves also an understanding about the wealth transfer is buried inside of this. And so be patient with me. This takes some more time today. The first was several months ago, but it was a field of ripe grapes that I saw. And at the time that I saw this field of ripe grapes, I knew that the grapes themselves, before the harvest could be fully had, there must be a time of dryness. And I knew this time of dryness meant that it would be some difficult days. I don't know that we've seen the fullness of this for sure, of this vision. But the next part of this vision that I saw was in August, and it was about September 23rd in that week. And I saw fire on those days. And after, as I looked through those days, I saw the harvest in a window shape. And on the other side was wheat. In this image, it was wheat and it was ready for harvest. It was like fully ready. And it wasn't like the grapes where they needed some time, because this was like 8 months ago. And then now, the next vision that I've had that's connected to this one, these visions seem to be coming together in fullness lately. Um, I saw reapers in the field harvesting grapes this time. There were harvesters in the field this time. And God helped me to understand. I'm like, God, how does this make sense? Like in the vision, I'm asking this question. And he said, don't you remember that I have to take, when I remove the tares, it's like the parable of the tares that Jesus shared was about this same time. He says, the tares will grow up, and God wouldn't remove them from the wheat. He says, you let them grow together. Um, but he says, when the harvest comes, he'll remove the tares first. And what God was helping me to see and understand is that when He removes the tares and in the shaking and the removal before the harvest fully starts, there will be some that are good, ripe fruit that will be harvested at the same time because they've grown up together. And that removal, unfortunately, will require them both to be removed. But the wheat will be taken, and it will be harvested, and it'll go into eternity. Those people will be blessed, and then there will be this other that will not, um that will be thrown into the lake of fire, the tares. So this fullness of understanding of this vision, um that helped me to understand it more fully. The other thing that I saw that's actually connected to this was just last night, I believe. um or not last night, sorry, yesterday and during the day, as I was praying and resting because I haven't been feeling well. Um, was I saw, and this is a vision of multiple visions as well. I, s- the first vision that I saw of this was the harvest, was tables, like, I saw heaven and the wedding supper. And it was just, at first, it was just, I was entering into a room and there was no, um, it was just this huge room, and like enormous room, all white tablecloths on the tables, and it was set, but not like fully ready. Like no one had come in yet. So I sort of knew this, like it was getting ready. Um, and then the next vision I had of that was there was some people serving that were pouring water. So I knew that anytime they would start to bring people into this wedding feast, sort of what you would do. The waiters would go in and fill the water glasses first. And then the other night, I had this vision of I was in front of a table, and at the end of the table, it was like the head of this particular table. It was just one individual table this time. Behind it was gold, like huge gold plate saucer thing. Like it's like a throne almost, but not a throne. It was just, very a pompous position seat. It didn't feel like this was like Jesus' seed or God or anything. It wasn't that elaborate as to be the master's head of the table. It was sort of like someone that was important in the kingdom. That was their seat. The other people, though, were all at the table, all dressed in white. It was so beautiful, so beautiful. And the cutlery, like I zoomed in to see the cutlery, and it was perfectly placed, like I've never seen anything perfectly placed like this. Like you could see that like nothing was 1 millimeter out of place. Like you just have this knowing that it's just set 100% perfect. Like just like what Jesus would want, the very perfect for his bride. And so you can see the progression of these visions over time. And it just seems so connected, like this harvest, like, and that's the feeling was it was connected to this harvest vision because it was like, well, some are already they're already sitting down, but like in heaven, the time is not the same as our time, right? Like it's not at all the same. So it could take a half hour to fill this table. Well, that could be 50 years here. People are starting to sit down at the wedding supper. I don't know. And this is just my interpretation here, that last piece there. I don't know. I don't understand that in its fullness, but I do know that that's what God was saying was to me was some are going to come home and they're part of the harvest. This last part of the harvest which just started. Eh, And again, I'm not saying it's like this moment in time in our time. I don't know that, but because the spirit and our time are not aligned very well. Um, and then I had another vision. This is a vision of the harvest itself, like, and that was connected to wealth and the wealth transfer. So in another vision, like I had something I've already shared before, but it's a vision of a home, and inside this home, I saw four of the prophets, like that are YouTube prophets that I know and listen to, and the table itself represented religion. And so, like, we could come to the table of religion and never partake of any of the food, which is the bread of life, and we could starve. That's possible. So, religion itself is just a structure. It does not feed us. Jesus feeds. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Religion is not. It has nothing to do with the way. The way is Jesus, right? So, never be confused about that. There's nothing wrong with being a part of something, but remember, it's Jesus. Always focus on Him. Outside of that home, I saw a large tree. And this tree was connected to the tree of life, which I mentioned earlier. It was the tree of life. But in the tree of life, I saw dead things. And it was like the church itself, there were dead things in it that needed to be removed. Um, and I'm going to share something else now, too, which was this is another image, although I like the one of Jesus being the backdrop. So, but it has to do with this wine glass. Um, and so at this table where there was, so outside of the home where people were, um, they were there was the devil. He was there trying to get into this home, trying to break it down, trying to break down the unity that had been developed. Um, and the earth itself protected and hid the church and the people in it, um, and the prophets. It hid them and protected them, which is very similar to what was John saw in Revelations, I believe. And then the next part of this vision that I had understanding of was just this week where God was showing me the individual vessels that were sitting at that table, the plates, the utensils, and he started to explain more to me about like that glass, wine glass. If we were to put, we wouldn't put a hot drink in there, tea, because it could break. Because that glass, although beautiful, it is meant for a cold drink, for wine, or for sparkling beverage. And it's beautiful. It has its place. And then he was showing me a mug, and he says, the mug, he says, now you can put hot water in that, and you could put coffee in it or whatever, and people could enjoy that drink from that. It's safe. It's designed to hold hot. And then he's like, but that hot, you can imagine that 1 cup mug, it would be only used for one person, right? So the wealth was the heated drink, was what he was explaining, giving. That was the revelation he was trying to explain to me in that vision. And he explained that to me. And then he showed me like a pot. He said, now if you took a whole huge pot of chili, and you were making hot chili, here's another hot substance, again, representing wealth in this parable. And he said, now that pot would be able to feed many, many people. And he was just saying, in my home, in my house, there are many vessels. This is going back to the parable that Jesus explained himself. He was just expounding on it for me. There are many vessels, many, many, and they all have a useful place. There's not one. He says there's ones to honor and to dishonor. Like there's still a garbage can and it has to hold garbage. Um, but they're in the Father's house. So Jesus never wants us to be tearing ourselves down. He doesn't want us to be filled with shame, filled with guilt. None of that. That's the enemy. You can say, well, because I'm this wine glass, I'm not as good as the pot over there that's holding chili. Really? Just because that Chili's, like for instance, if we're talking about money, that wealth, that person is say they're a billionaire. Well, who cares? You can't, a billionaire, you can't spend it all for yourself. It's not for them. You can't even spend it. It's not even, it's not a number that's conscionable for most people. They can't even understand it. But that wealth is designed for someone who can handle it. If you're a wine glass and God gives you $1 billion and he puts it in there, he'll shatter you. He would never do that. That is not his heart. And he also has given me understanding. And this is something that he wants me to help teach people. Because one of the things that I've learned is neurolinguistic programming. It's a techniques about how to help people get out of shame and guilt and past hurt and past trauma. And that is really what he wants me to help people do, is to get free and get freedom, true freedom, so they can change themselves so that they can handle more in his kingdom. Because that is true in his kingdom. Just because you are this in his kingdom does not mean he can't work you. Just like the parable he gives with the potter and the clay, you're still in the hands of the potter. And he still wants to work with you. He still wants to change you. He still wants to increase you. He has more to do for everyone. He has a plan for everyone. And I know that his plans are good because he's shown me so clearly his plans are good for every single person. There's not one plan that he has that is negative. It is always good. And so he wants to increase you. And yes, that means wealth. Yes, that means health. Yes, that means everything. He wants you to have more joy. He wants you to have more hope. He wants you to have a closer relationship to him. Like this is what he wants for you. He wants for every single person. Do not ever discount yourself and say, no, I can't have that because no, that is not the way God sees things. So that is truly what has been on my heart and what he's been giving me through these revelations, just this understanding that he wants to increase his kingdom. And he wants his kingdom, as you increase, his kingdom increases. And as you increase, you can increase further his kingdom. And this is the ultimate plan behind every one of our lives, is that we would increase wherever we are. It doesn't matter if we're in ministry. That is not the point. It's not about ministry. It's not about, I'm not on the worship team. No, it's not about that. It's about your heart and the condition of your heart. And if you are singing praises and you are just sweeping the floor and that is your job, there is nothing wrong with that. That will honor him and bring great wealth, kingdom wealth to you if you are doing this, praising him while you do it, because people will see that and say, wow, how do they have that attitude? And yet, they have nothing. That is just as much worship. As for me, a man that is disabled, giving glory to God in my disability, in my lack, giving glory to him, that gives glory to the Father. Why? Because it's only through him that I could do such a thing. It is only by his glory, only by his power. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, because I, myself, in my own strength, I would have ended my life, no doubt, without him. So all glory goes to Father. And this is the story he wants to build with every one of us. He's the testimony he wants to share. Anyway, I'm going on rambling here a bit, but hope that blessed you. Take care, everyone.